voice matters. UBC, inspiring Uganda.
His Excellency General Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, the President of the Republic of Uganda and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, assigned Uganda Prison Service a task to produce food and animal feeds. This was a directive of July 2022 to Ministry of Agriculture, Animal Industry and Fisheries to allocate land to Uganda Prison Service for food production. The allocation totaled to 50,000 acres, in which 30,000 acres is maize grain, 10,000 acres soya beans, and 10,000 acres sorghum. Areas allocated to Uganda Prison Service include Aswa Farm in Pade District, northern part of Uganda.
This is Aswa Farm, originally from Aswa Ranches, land which was handed over to Uganda Prison Service by Ministry of Agriculture for food security intervention, and which came in as a necessity by the government program. And this one arose out of the food scarcity that was happening in the country, and the government through my felt that we should produce food. And this intervention includes Uganda Prison Service.
Bush clearing here started on the 10th of October 2022, and it is progressing on well. Apparently we have covered acreage of 1,000 acres, which is being prepared.
Uganda Prison Service embarked on an ambitious effort to transform access to Aswa group of prisons, and in so doing is bridging gap for local communities. The construction of new roads and bridges has significantly improved accessibility to the facility, paving way for enhanced economic opportunities and sustainable development.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda Extra.
Good morning and much thanks for being with us this morning. Welcome to the Extra, which is an extension of Good Morning Uganda agenda. Now today I'm very excited because we are going to be discussing something very important. It revolves around education, but also education shaping the political terrain of this country. We know whatever we do, we learn from school. And I remember when we were in school, there was so much of preparing us. I remember we had what we call debating clubs. Now, this was every Friday after lunch. We wouldn't have classes, but would converge in the main hall, and then we would have our MPs at that level and debate different topics of the day. And one of the things they would tell us, they are training us, and it's a replica of what happens in the national parliament. You don't shout, you don't clap, you stamp your feet. If you're one of the people who are going to discuss that particular day, you even have to appear very smart because someone can put you out of order. So I grew up with that picture that this is what happens in the national parliament. And Good Enough would come and tour parliament, and they would tell us exactly what we do there. Now, today, we don't want to say politics is a job, but believe you me, it has become a job, and one of the best paying jobs in this country. We have members of parliament who've come straight from university and entered the August House. Many. There was a time when if you're a guild president of Makerere or any university, then automatically it meant in your constituency, you're going to be a member of parliament. But the question now is, where are these higher institutions of learning influencing this trend? Yes, some are teaching political science. Others will tell you now every member of parliament goes back to law to do a law degree almost. But where is the deliberate intention now that they have noticed that actually what we are churning out here, where is the politics that prepares those coming in for the job which is politics to do better? Now join me, welcome the Vice Chancellor of Victoria University, Professor Lawrence Muganga, with whom we are going to be discussing this. Professor, you're most welcome.
Mr. Chirawo, thank you very much. Good morning. Thank you for always having me. Viewers, good morning. And we appreciate you tuning in. It's not something we take for granted that you spare your time to see what we can share in this country of ours. We try the least we can, or the best we could ever do, to make sure that we add value wherever we can. And we are grateful to the Lord that He gives us life to continue soldiering on. And to those who are in pain or have lost loved ones, we empathize with you. It is really the situation we live in. We are human beings, after all, so we have to go through all these things. But we have a Creator. He sees us, He knows us, He empowers us, and we will continue living. Strive on. Better things are coming. There is always a better tomorrow.
Definitely, there's always a better tomorrow. Yes. Now, Professor, you're one of the people, if I talk about today's topic, a Vice Chancellor of a university. And I want to thank you for having found time, because I tried to reach out to many, but I wanted a university that one is chartered, first and foremost, but also is affordable.
But even the one that is not chartered, I'll tell you, because we have also been in that position before. It is hard work. They are doing a lot of work to make sure that they get to that finish line, to get chartered. And even when you get chartered, you have not come to the end of everything.
Yes.
There are standards to adhere to, standards to keep. Because if you are complacent in a way, if you somehow compromise standards, the president can say, you know what, through the Minister of Education and the National Council for Higher Education, they can comfortably withdraw the charter, and you go back to zero. So receiving charter or being chartered, actually that's when the hard work begins, to maintain the standard you exhibited, that you fit to deliver quality higher education in this country, but even beyond, by exporting that quality service to the world. Yes.
Now, this takes me to our topic of discussion today. Professor, I love referring to the old days. When a person went to school, and above all, went to university and attained a degree, the entire village would celebrate and say, Omwana wa fasomye, atusomedde. But they would also expect certain behavior and conduct. And they would still say, Gundi yeisanga atasoma. That, for sure, this guy with a whole degree, how can he do this? Now, when we come to the political terrain, we've continuously seen undeserving manners of politics. And when we look at these people, some have been leaders in universities. And the question comes, what is your input? Because now, like I said earlier, politics is becoming a job, Professor. Many leave Victoria, and one is going as at least a councillor, then later, you know, it is big. If you ask, you are soon going to ask people, what is your career, and those, what is your career guidance, you're soon going to factor in politics as well. Yes.
So, I like it that you walk back and you try to look at the world we live in today, using the lenses of where we are coming from, because it can help us sometimes to understand the state of affairs where we are right now, and more so maybe to even start imagining where we are going. But of course, it can only determine so much that where we are going is going to look like this. But I am one of those people who subscribe to the saying that you can't use grandparents kind of technology to solve the problems of grandchildren, right? The two lives are now very, very different. But the question that is going to help us understand the question, now a question is going to help us understand the question you're asking. Isn't that weird? So question helping us understand. So, but this question is very, very important. Someone will ask, you begin asking that, am I better off in my situation? Are we better off as a community? Are we better off as a country? And now it is going to depend on who you're going to ask. If you are in the arena of politics, it is going to depend on which color someone is wearing. So they will tell you how either they are better off or they are worse off or they are in between. So to the person, if you look at what used to happen in the past, going to school, going to these higher education institutions, it was literally a guarantee that you're going to be better off in life. And that's why some of us are working so hard within the higher education space to restore the promise of higher education. The promise of higher education was that if you endured as a parent and sacrificed and educated your child and sent them, you send them through primary education, secondary education, to higher education, and they completed, you are sure that the life of this child of yours is going to be better off. So that was the promise. That promise today, it is only obtained by a few. Now, for so many reasons and for so many factors, sometimes I will really boldly say that we as educators, we have also let down this country. I don't really shy away from that. We cannot even say that government has let us down. No, it is us, the educators, that have this mandate to even guide government. Okay?
Yes.
Someone is going to say, oh, government does not listen. No. Which information that is so valid, that is so relevant, that is so life-changing and transformative, you brought to the Minister of Education, you brought to the President, you brought to every actor in government, and they did not listen. Or we continued dancing to the music that has been played, and we are comfortable that that is the right music. So we continued as a nation of educators or a group to deliver outdated education that does not solve the problems of our country. And then that became a huge problem as so many numbers, the massification of educated people, and I put that in quotations, like the massification, like there are so many educated people, but also very few people among those that can solve the problems of today. So now, the so-called educated went back to their villages, sat down with everyone who cannot, who didn't go to school, and they were literally the same. So they are now in catch-22, they can't support each other, and everyone now is looking at the other and say, okay, what is the importance of education anyway? Previously we knew that you're going to have, if you go to school, you're going to become like the late Wapakabulo in Parliament. You're going to become the Apollon Sebambi. You're going to become the late Honorable Elia Kategaya, may their souls rest in peace. You're going to be the Honorable Manya Mushegas. You're going to, I can go on and on. You're going to be Her Excellency, the Vice President, Wandera Kazibwe, like Samson Chiseka, like icons, like those strong people, the role models.
Who are honorable at 24/7.
Honorable. And when they come to Parliament, whatever they are going to talk about, These are national issues that are geared towards making our country great. You understand? So everyone saw education, and every parent wanted their child to be like that pilot, to be like that engineer, to be like that nurse, to be like that teacher, to be like that doctor, to be like that professor. Very few people wish that today. Okay? So what does that now cause? What it causes, it is now discomfort within the population. It is now the pain within the population, because there is poverty now. So when people are in that kind of pain, now they say, okay, it doesn't matter now to vote anyone to go to parliament, because even if you go there, you have not done for us anything. So a movement comes up, okay? This group of, with their color, they said, we are the ones that are going to bring you hope. In the hopeless situation, we will give you hope. Just send us to parliament, and they will go. And then another color comes up and says, you know what? No, we are this color. And if you put us here, your future is secure. Okay? So now people stop voting who is going to go there and debate issues. Who is going to go there and look at the international scene and then collapse what is happening internationally and melts it down to locally, and then comes up with solutions that are going to help the day-to-day common person. Those people, we don't have them anymore. So we have people who are paying, who are very much of, they have a lot of interest in what the platform, the party platform is driving. So, and then, as long as I wear black, you will vote for me. You will not ask, as long as I meet the minimum qualifications, then I'll go to parliament. And then we started with higher education, leadership, letting down the country, and then we will have also legislators who will let down the country because themselves cannot internalize or articulate the very fundamentals that can actually tilt the landscape of the community and its the socio-economic kind of fabric to make it better.
Now, Professor, this is what I want to ask you, because when you look at the names you mentioned, sorry, I want to be a layman today, speak for the layman. They will tell you, that those were at a time when the education was so much of a white man led. Now, today, we have what we have. What aren't we doing right? Some were telling me, because we had this debate, some were telling me, you see, now education is commercialized. That a university may not think so much in investing in values, etiquette, in investing in bringing this fully packaged, educated person, that when he comes out, he has got the knowledge, but also what comes around to make him an educated person.
So, for the time I have lived on this earth, planet Earth, and it's not too many years, and they are not so few, all right? And I thank God for life and my parents who have raised me as well. So I don't think, I depart from the thinking that there is an education institution that will teach you those etiquettes you're looking for. No. There is none anywhere in the world. But we live them. We have to live a disciplined life. And it comes from your family. It comes from your home. Like how you were raised. Now, I was raised to understand that it is not okay to abuse anyone. It is disrespectful to abuse anyone, even if I am attacked. So that one, it's a no-go area. I was raised to understand that I cannot just fight or raise my hand to anyone. That is something, it's not school that has to teach me that. It's my parents, and then I have to live those values. You understand? So, now, they are also, why am I talking about lived experience? Lived experience is what gives us what we need in life and what we are going to exhibit in life. Now, so why I told you that we have players in this field called the country that have to, everyone has to do their part. Now, we the educators have to do our part, okay? The arms, all the arms of government, they have to do their part. And most importantly, the legislators and maybe the arm of government, of course, okay? So, now, what do they have to do? Craft an education that is relevant to the needs of people. And what is that education? The education that we have today does not take me, the student, to society where I will actually live and operate. Now, if you kept a student in a classroom from primary 1, and if they are lucky and they don't drop out, you keep them in the system until they exit university. They have been in a classroom, okay? 7 years, 4 years, 2 years, 3 or 4 years in university. So that is closer to 16 or 19 years, okay? Those young people have 0 years of experience to do anything. And matters worse, you have also kept them in a boarding school, okay? So these people know nothing about their community. They have been in a confined place, a paid for, like I always want to call it, a paid for prison, okay? Where they are programmed. They have a schedule, a timetable to follow. So they are following particular rules, that which rules don't resemble what happens in a life you and I live in. Okay? So now, by the time you bring them back, they are either going to be rebels to the rules of community, or to become docile and dormant and don't do anything. So society is losing a productive community that was nurtured in boarding schools or has been educated to not practice anything in community because they know nothing. So if you don't have that experience, that means you have not lived in the community to know how to respect an older person, the senior people. You have not understood how to work with people who are not your age. Okay, the only person you know who was older than you was your teacher. The rest were your peers. And you interacted the way you want. Now here you are in the real world. You have to interact with me. Okay? You have to interact with the fellow young person like you. You have to even interact with a very young person than you, or even older person, and you have nothing. Etiquettes you're talking about, 0. Experience to do something to help your father on the farm, which coffee, which cows they are rearing. Like if you even studied accounts, you can't even know anything about the accounts of your father's farm. So 0. So at the end of the day, when you lack that very experience, so you become a wasted community. Okay? Now, the productivity. Now, look at the country like ours. Almost 70, more than 70% are young people. Now, that young generation is rendered unproductive. How are we going to develop? So now you cannot demand for those etiquettes, good behavior, or the ability to work so hard, to put country first. To feel like I can live a selfless life, to make sure that Chirabo is okay, okay? I can spread love. It is very, very important. Peace is important for us. The power of the collective as a community is very important. All those are values you learn if you have lived and worked in community. So now look at the universities, for example. You have a student who, like different universities we have in this country. you have a student who will graduate with 0 years of experience. They are going to look for a job where the person who is giving the job
requires experience.
Requires 2, 3, 4 years of experience. What a contradiction. So now, who is lying to who?
Now, Professor, how do we break these barriers? Because most of the times when I host people, they know what should be done. Uganda is good at proposals and suggestions. We identify our problem, we know what should be done, but we fail to implement. I want to take a case of Victoria University. Now, when you talk about this student being in class at university, remember our days. You report it's almost the same program. If you're not on evening, maybe in your second year, then you change to evening. So you have some free time, but even that free time, you're either washing or doing some bit of work, revising, or even present at campus. Because you left home, maybe so you're within campus, you're meandering, you're in the library, you're there. How are we breaking even? When we go to politics, you see, it's almost what is happening there that the universities are doing. You know, it's the same. If today, it is verbal artillery that brings victory. And
whoever makes more noise.
And it's not different even in university politics.
Yes.
So how are you doing things differently?
So let me begin by telling you that you're right. And viewers have seen this. There is always a lot of talk, but limited doing. The walking the talk sometimes is very difficult for so many. But and why I sit here today and I get the comfort to say the things I say, it's because we rejected the notion that we cannot do something about the problems we have, that we are just going to whine and talk about them. And then we wait for who to come and solve these problems. So like at Victoria University, we made sure that, and that's not a long time ago, by the way, it is just the decisiveness and the choosing to do the right thing. It is as old as 4 years ago, like the last 4 years. We said that, okay, it's only fair for someone to pay their fees and come to our university to study and give them what they came to really pick in our institution. Don't just let them go back the way they came or even worse. So the worst situation is you come, we sit you in a classroom, 3 years or 4, then you go back and also do nothing because you know nothing. Because the theory we are talking about, that we are going to give you, you have had something called a curriculum. A curriculum has particular references, content. Now that content, to be honest to the viewers, is that content you can have it even on your phone, your computer, anywhere.
And now with AI, it's totally...
Yes, you can have it. But there is something I can't teach you in the classroom. It is experience. Okay? So the experience of sitting here and I talk to you, no one teaches that. We just have to have it, and I learn on the job. So along the way, I may come here and I am not the person you wanted. The following day, maybe I get better. Another day, I become a little bit better than the other day until I master the craft. Okay? So now, we said that at Victoria University, when you come, we will sit you in our classroom for 12 to 15 hours a week. Okay? A week has closer active hours, closer to 48 or even 50 if you wish. But for us, we are saying, please use only 15, up to 15 to be in the classroom. Receive this content. But the rest, do us a favor. Find a place where you can do something. And that is a requirement. If you can't, talk to our career readiness and employability program people to try and place you somewhere. Okay? Even if they are not paying you a penny, but they are paying you in kind, experience. Someone is downloading their lived experience in terms of professionalism, the work ethic, the etiquettes you are talking about. They are giving you an environment to learn how to live a professional world, the work environment, within the labor market kind of space. They are giving you that opportunity, because at the end of your education, that's what you're looking for.
Yes.
When someone has advertised for position, they are going to say, we need 2, 3, 4, 5 years experience. At least you will graduate from Victoria University with 2, 3, 4 years of experience, without doubt. So that one is a given.
You're already prepared for the world where,
So
actually you've been in the world where you're going.
Like, for us, we believe and we implement this sentiment that education should mirror the real world.
Yes.
So if it is different from what you're going to do in the real world, then that education, I'm sorry, it is useless. Parents and you, the young people, run away from it. If an education will sit you somewhere for 3 years and you have 0 years of experience, the only thing you have to show is a credential called a transcript and a certificate, just know that, for lack of a better word, that is an education scam. Because we know that the employer is asking for experience. The employer is asking for particular attributes that relate to the professional world. They are asking you, do you know how to collaborate with people? Do you know how to team up with people? Do you know how to receive feedback? Do you know how to give feedback? Do you know how to sacrifice for others? Do you know how to get to work very early? Do you know how to meet a deadline? Do you understand? Can you furnish your report on time? Can you format your document to acceptable standards? Can you collaborate with other people to edit a document, even on Google Docs, for example? Okay? Do you really know how to use all these Microsoft Office tools? Can you really give me what I want using AI in just 2 or 3 minutes? If your answer is no, then please, your education has done you 0 favors. So you need to be in an institution that empowers you with that. And that's what we have done with our students at Victoria University. Now, let me give you another thing. We live in a world where technology has taken up everything. It is the way we live life. People are moving around with 2 phones, 3 phones, laptops, tablets, everything, things in their ears, everything. They are on X, they are on Instagram, they are on LinkedIn. Like, we have the physical world where you and I operate. There is also a virtual world. There are some people, actually, we know that when they are on social media, they are so rich. When you look at what is happening there, when you meet them, it's totally different. Like, we live a life that has totally been consumed by technology, and we can't take it back. And that's how productivity in terms of the world of work is going to look like. Now, if an institution has not embedded technology in what you learn on a daily basis, then run away from that institution, because it is problematic. So, and yes.
What you're suggesting, Professor, already one of the biggest challenges that our country is facing is cost of education. We know our government is doing so much, but it can only take in so little. Education is becoming very expensive.
Yeah.
Now, when we talk about, even at lower levels, having technology, bring in computers, I know even at low levels where you find that a school even will tell you, we charge this extra money to teach this. Recently I was at Victoria University because a friend of mine told me of certain learning. And here I saw learning in a different way, something, I've forgotten that name, like a screener.
Oh, yeah, the digital smartboard. Yes.
I was asking myself,
yeah, we have those.
Every university is to have this nature of teaching,
where
students don't carry books, they carry phones, they carry laptops, you know. Then what is the parent going to cough? If every university is to have a specific department that can fix and position students, all these are going to run back to the parents' cost.
Okay, now, at the face of it, it looks like that. Okay, at the face of it, you may want, you want to believe that actually, if we introduce technology to that level, it is going to be very, very expensive.
The parent has to, or the guardian, or the student.
Let me give you a case of Victoria University. Again, we are not talking about hypotheticals. We are talking about real things. Okay? So, for us, we believe, at Victoria University, we say, please, we do not entertain your pen. We don't want your book. Don't bring them. There are so many schools that are still using those, and other universities. If your parents have another young person going to those schools, please don't waste them. Give them to those people. Okay? But when you come to us, for us, we are preparing you for the real world, Mr. Chirabo, and the viewers, for the real world, the world we live in. And we are also taking it a little bit further to future-proof our learners, such that they can be able to anticipate and be ready for a future they have not seen. Why? Because it is dominated by technology. So we embed technology into what they are learning on a daily basis. So that calls for them to come with, to have a laptop, to have a tablet, to have even a smartboard. I mean, a smartphone. And ask the university to make sure that every classroom has a digital smartboard. It is a smart classroom. And so, teachers cannot have an excuse. And number two, that even learning itself is digitized. That's why we need those gadgets. So we will say, okay, fine. It's not so relevant anymore for anyone to come and sit in a classroom just for the sake of sitting. If you're learning content, I can, using our smart classroom and the digital smartboard we have, our teacher can teach. And the viewer can actually sit in Arusha, can sit in Singapore, can sit in Guru and attend this classroom. Live with everyone else who is seated where? Now we have, in the process, you have saved this student transport, you have saved this student accommodation, you have saved this student any hazards that may have befell them along the way. You understand what I mean? Now, even as embracing technology, digitizing every transaction, education transaction, I mean, the things we do, activities, it means we are saving money on paper, okay? We are saving like a lot of things. Like once you digitize, you save money on paper by purchasing paper. You save money on printing. You save money on sharing different information. So now, all that, once you do it, it brings the cost down completely. Okay? I can tell you that, for example, for us, we do digitized exams. Okay? Coursework. Every other assessment students are doing is digitized. So that saves us almost $1 billion a year that we would have spent. So now that one it goes back on reducing the tuition we charge from students. So you realize it is supposed to be very, very expensive, but now it is cheaper. Why? Because we have cut cost by digitizing education or learning. And that means we have to spend less, we have to charge less. Let me also add this. You also save on having a big elephants called libraries, physical libraries, that you have to stock with books. And remember, even if you bought the latest books, 10 years down the road, they are dead, expired, because new books editions have come up. So you save money by having e-resources, a digital library that every student of ours can take home. Even if they have gone for vacation, even if they are at work somewhere, they still have their library in their pocket. So again, you save money there as an institution. But every saving you make, you also reflect it in the fees, tuition you're charging from the students. So that's why, if you asked us, Victoria University, you talked about chartered university, is the most affordable chartered university in East Africa. Why? Because we are the only university so far that I know that has gone full scale, full board digital. And our students, you would be very proud of our students. I'm sure UBC here you have some.
Yes.
When it comes to using computer, it's not that they studied ICT. It's not that they went and did information technology. No, like I said, the values, you learn them by living them. Character, you learn that character by living with people who exhibit such character. So skills, you learn them by practicing them. So these, our students have become digitally driven. If your learning is digital, so you're going to do it digitally. If your coursework is digital, if your exam is digital, if your transcript is digital, if your certificate is digitified, everything you do is digital. So you have to learn the language. You have to learn the practice. You have to, that craft, you have to master it. Those are our students. I really am happy for employers that will or are employing Victoria University students, because when it comes to being competent on a computer, on digitized content, they are doing great.
Well, no doubt we are looking at mentoring leadership, but also look at our education system as well. When it comes to the output that we bring out, are they very capable to face the challenges of the 21st century? We, Professor here says that yes, there is so much the education sector can do, but it's also very important that we all embrace this effort intentionally. He's just said that you can never teach integrity.
No.
You can never teach etiquette. Behavior, that these are some of the things that may be hard for a university to instill. However, the university can drive the agenda towards that direction if we look at what kind of education we are offering. Then the question is, much as you've just broken down affordability. Those are some of the excuses we always talk about. Professor, our education system, there's a belief that with commercialization of education, because previously when we talk about schools in this country, they were church missionary, then the Muslim came in, then you had those that are community schools, Chirabo, professor have gone to school, they come from that community, they start a school with an aim typical of having educated fellows within the community. So they are not into money. Now this commercialization of education, how do we rectify our mistakes? How do we go back? You've given us how Victoria has focused on it. But maybe another institution I won't mention, if they did that, it would be among the most expensive. So how do we bring back education to serve the purpose?
Yeah, so a very good question. You know, like I said, so many things we have to live with them. Just live the experience. Okay, like Robert or the viewers here, no one teaches us not to kill people. Okay, we just know that we need our lives. So you don't. If I need my life, I don't have to take away your life. It's wrong. So no one. There's no classroom that should teach me don't kill people. No, I know people have to live. And if they have to depart this world, it's up to God and their own terms. Okay. So, lived experience teaches us those things. Now, but now jumping back to what you have just asked. So now, we also have to go back to the very first question you asked regarding the politics and education. So the political economy. So you can't separate the two. Now, sometimes I pity and I feel bad when we really load a huge burden to the Ministry of Education, okay? And the Minister of Education. And then we say that, or NCDC, for example. Sometimes, yes, I am a critique of the poor curriculum, bad education system. I know all those things. But also, there are times I empathize with the office bearers or the entire ministry, because I have been privileged to move around different continents to experience, interact with different educators in different governments around the world. Closer to 51 countries that have been either worked with or consulted with or supported in different ways or researched to try to understand their education systems and how do they deliver this meaningful education to their population. And the only thing you find is that their priority, they have understood that for a nation to stand, their people must be well educated. The human capital must be the #1 asset the country is going to rely on. So that means priority is focused where? On the people's education. Things like education, health, safety, safety and security altogether. Those three are non-negotiables, are a public good, and they are funded very well. Okay? They are non-partisan. So we don't contest a lot on those three: security, education, and health. They are non-what? Partisan. You can wear your red, I can wear my black, or yellow, or purple, or orange, or green, but education, health, security, they are non-negotiables for us, and they are non-partisan, and they are a public good. So when you look at our situation, the funding that goes in education does not measure up to what is offered elsewhere. So it comes back to the parliament we have. When the budget comes of education, how much money do you give education? So if you're not feeding your cow, if you're not giving it water, do not ask for milk, for God's sake. So our cow, being education, is not well fed. So for me, yes, I can whine about an education system that is not functioning to support the population as it is supposed to be, but I'm also cognizant of the fact that Parliament is not giving them enough resources that they deserve to be able to function as an agent of change when it comes to the human capital development of this country. So now I appeal to government to prioritize resources for education. The budget we are allocating to the Ministry of Education for education purpose is not even half of what we need to take care of 45 or 46 million people. It doesn't happen. So I blame what? That is a fact that I know. So therefore, the technology we are doing at Victoria University, you are not going to, the technology, the experiential learning, the corporate education, the work integrated learning, career readiness and employability, embedding all those in a curriculum, you're not going to expect everyone else to do what? To do that. Why? Because you're going to also first to have government to invest in internet infrastructure. Okay? To accept that technology is in the driver's seat taking us forward now. So that means you're going to strategize and have a council for maybe artificial intelligence. People who are thinking for us when it comes to this thing called AI. Now, you know why I say that? AI can give us teachers. Okay, one teacher can teach all the 1.7 million kids that you saw that dropped out without them going to school. Okay? Like they don't have to go to school. But one teacher, if technology was embraced very well, can teach all those kids within their own vicinity. So they don't need to go to school. Even those who got early pregnancies and dropped out can still remain home and give birth to their babies and still complete school because of technology. And one what? Teacher. So you are saving money because of technology. Now, one library can saturate books to millions of kids in this country if technology was embraced. One classroom tutor can become a tutor to all the kids of this country if technology was embraced. So you understand why I am really an ardent supporter or advocate of technology. This is how a country that is not resource endowed can actually have a fighting chance to empower their citizens, their children, to become very productive people with meager resources. But you have to make some significant initial investments in technology, internet infrastructure, AI development. Why can't we have AI compute data centers, like maybe 3 or 4 in this country, that are actually powering up learning around the country? You understand? And then our interest would be to say that now there should be a policy, one child, one gadget. One child who is going to school must have one gadget. And this gadget should be solar powered. These Chinese can manufacture them. Since we don't have the capability to manufacture these things, they can manufacture these gadgets in China. And they can cost us $20,000. What is $20,000? Okay? It is not even, it's not even if you, how much dollars are in 20,000? So you're looking at closer to what? $6? $6. So investing in technology as a country can teach every child in this country. We just need to be intentional. So once you invest, you put in that initial investment, then you are uplifting this country. So everyone will have, just imagine, a child in Karamoja will access the same content like a child who is seated in Kampala.
Well, technology, and of course when you have Professor, there's so much that he keeps on popping into suggestions here and there. But the good thing is we have a case study with us where some of these things, the first time I heard of them, I thought they weren't that very real. And it took me time to go and find out and see. Until, yes, I said now, this is factual. And Professor, time seems to be flying. I have to let you go. And earlier on when I was talking with you before I came on set, you were so concerned with the school dropout.
Yes.
That today one of our dailies has published. In your final remarks, I know you have something to say about this. Let's have that as we head out.
Yeah, Robert, thank you very much for this incredible time. And the management of UBC, what you do is great. Keep it up. Giving us the opportunities to come and we speak to the country. It is not something, it's not that we are the smartest people. No, I say I can be smart, but if we are a team, we become even more brilliant, all of us. So UBC, thank you for giving us that opportunity. So to be the we and speak as a country. So, but as I was actually going to office, I encountered these headlines on one of the dailies, and it was not news for me, but it disturbs to see that number in front of you. So looking at the kids that we have left behind since 2012 to today, those kids are almost 2 million. Okay, kids who dropped out, 2 million. The question is, what is going to happen with those people? Where are they? What are they doing? What can we do to transform their lives. These are part of the 70%, over 70% of the young people that we are proud of as a country, Uganda, because any country that has the youngest population is really blessed. I tell you this, I happened, I lived in Canada for so many years, but I know Canada is struggling. 60% of its population is 65 years and above. 65 years old and above. So meaning more than half of the country depends on 40%. But even 40%, there are some kids. So they are trying their best to ferry more people in form of immigrants, young people, to go and live in Canada, to be able to get a human capital that can serve the country. Now for us, we are blessed with this population, okay? But we are not developing it. They are dropping out. And there are solutions that can help us. Like I said, education, health, security, those are you can't compromise. They are public goods. They are non-partisan. We just have to prioritize them. And when I can't speak for health or security, but I can speak for education because I understand it for God's sake. There are solutions we can deploy given resources. And if we do that, we are going to empower every child that is born in this country to become productive. We will widen this country's tax base once we have every productive person. You cannot confine kids in boarding schools for 16, 17 years. That is production you are killing. These people are supposed to be in their communities trying to do something. Even a child of 10 years helping their parents, that's production. As their parents also are doing other things. I'm not saying just because they are going to help their parents and they're not going to go to school. No. They should be able to learn things and do, because whatever they learn at 10 years is everything they are going to remain with in their adult life. And it is going to help them. Then, I know government has blessed us with UPE and USE. But also there is a requirement, there is something we need to really pay attention to, that it is one thing to make them open to the public. But it is also important to make sure that primary and secondary, until you complete senior 6 or the equivalent, is compulsory. Okay? It is compulsory. None-what?
Partisan.
Yes, non-partisan, non-negotiable. Everyone has to go to. Now, some people will say, oh, we don't have lunch for our kids. We don't have money for uniforms. And now that's where technology comes in. So we have to, as a country, we have to invest in technology. Okay? And these technologies are there. Starlink internet technology can give us internet around this country through satellite. And then every student, also the one child, one gadget policy, we can still do that and make sure that every kid does not drop out of school. Every child enjoys education. Every child finishes senior 6 or finishes some technical education, vocational education that is equivalent to senior 6. You will see a great Uganda, even us at Victoria University that are receiving students, even now that are enrolling in November, and those who are going to start their studies in March. We will be receiving incredible students. And then we can pick it up from there and then empower them to even be better futurists, people who can fit in the future, but also who can contribute to themselves, their families, and the country as good taxpayers, as productive citizens. as people who contribute to the world, who are impacting this world positively. That's what we have chosen to do as Victoria University.
Well, when you have professor and you're discussing anything to do with education, he's very passionate because he believes when you educate a nation, then you're sure of development. I want to thank you so much for your time. Our viewer, thank you so very much for our time that you've given us watching UBC TV from 6:30 when we began with Good Morning Uganda and an extension Good Morning Uganda Extra. See you tomorrow, the good Lord willing, for God and my country. And for the people in Chisoro, please, please, let's maintain peace and let's know that there always has to be a winner and a loser. That's why it's called an election, for citizens to vote. God bless you.
Amen.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda Extra. In a nation hungry for truth,